This end of year creative doodling exercise is all about personal reflection. So take this journey with me. It is very personal. I'm going to talk through my year, my experiences, my thoughts and feelings. And I love doing this in the classroom as a creative doodling exercise. You don't have to use your drawing skills. It can be writing, you can use words. And if you're not feeling very reflective and you're not ready to think about the year that has passed, I love doing this as a goal-setting exercise for a brand new start to a brand new class. So whether you're at home, in school, whatever your purpose is, reflecting, doodling, and just mindfulness is a great way to connect your creativity and your art-making skills. So let's do it, a final look at the crazy year of 2020. If you love learning about art, please support my channel, subscribe, hit that like button, it means a lot. I'm starting on a blank piece of paper, but this would be a really great sketchbook page or even sketchbook cover. And I'm going to use bubble letters, and I'm mapping out my letters or numbers 2020. So to do my bubble letters, I start by just lightly drawing each letter the size and shape I want them. And then I go back and fill it in bubble letter style. So this is where you can really be creative and you can change your lettering, the way it's organized. And who says you have to do lettering at all? Your doodle can be in whatever shape jumps out at you. But for me, this is all about reflecting on 2020 as the year closes, and I thought 4 letters was the perfect amount of space to fill without being overwhelming. Your pencil is going to be your friend during this time because if you're like me, the letters never turn out, and I keep saying letters. The numbers never turn out the way I want them right away. Now that I'm more confident with my letters, it's time to bring out my old friend, my Sharpie. And I like to use a fine point Sharpie for this. I also have a lot of drawing pens that would be great for this. You could use colored pencils. You could stick to entirely pencil. Really, the whole idea is just reflection, doodling, and just letting your mind kind of reflect on whatever experiences you've had this year, or this would be a really great goal-setting exercise for the year to come. I love having students set goals for art class, and so this would be a really fun way to kind of organize those ideas. I'm using my Factus eraser to erase any marks that my pencil made that I want to kind of get rid of before I start with the actual drawing steps with my doodle. Since this is a YouTube video, I'm going to start with my first section all about YouTube. And so I'm doing the YouTube play button. This is because I've had, and I kind of hate to say this, 2020 has been my most successful year on YouTube ever. With everyone going to distance learning and quarantining and staying at home, my channel has tripled in subscribers and views, and that is something that, although I hate the reason behind it, I'm very thankful that in the year 2020, I was able to find success with my channel. I mean, I'm just a public school art teacher that's trying to make my job easier. And it's been really nice not only helping my students out that are in my classes, but also other art teachers. And I get messages from students from art teachers, you know, in states and countries that I don't even live in. So that's been really fun to share my classroom and my teaching style with others. So this next one seems kind of weird and braggy, but I'm doing it anyway. This is also the year my channel got monetized. And that was a goal I didn't really know I had until I started thinking about it. Public school teachers, we do all of our work for free. Everything we do, we just give away our best ideas. And public school teachers, we don't make a ton of money, which is fine. I don't do this for the money. But to have a side hustle that is my job, that I can share my passion and make a little bit of money on the side has been super rewarding for me. So that way I can kind of, you know, cushion my income a little bit, doing what I actually do, using my expertise and my degrees to actually make a little money outside the public school system. I'm writing the word 6,000. And so if you don't love to draw, keep your symbols very basic. Like I just did the money symbol, the YouTube play button, and 6,000 because that is how many subscribers I had. And now I'm closer to 6,500. But 6,000 is a lot more than the 100 subscribers I had. That was my dad and, you know, a few of my students. So when I started this doodle, I wanted to reflect on reality, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And this next symbol, it's kind of hard to tell what it is, but if you're a teacher, this is the Canvas infrastructure symbol. And it makes my skin crawl. So Canvas is what we have been using to do distance learning with students. And so that has been a huge part of teaching in 2020. I have students in the classroom. I have students that are sent home quarantined, and they access all of their work through Canvas. I'm in a teacher group on Facebook, and someone pointed out that it looked like the coronavirus like zoomed in, which is kind of funny. And so I'm thankful that we have a system like Canvas that allows us to post assignments, to grade easier, to contact students and post videos easily. But I'm not going to say I love it. And I have the same feelings about the words I just wrote, distance learning. Not something that was in my reality a year ago. I never thought I would be, teaching with a laptop while my students are holding their dogs in the car. I taught one class where a student was in the barn with her sister that I taught a few years before. So that was actually kind of cool because I taught a lesson with this girl who was in my class and is in high school now, and she was able to kind of participate. So that, I will say, there are good things to distance learning. Definitely encouraged us to be creative and think outside the box. But it has definitely been a huge part of 2020. Whether that's good or bad, I'll let you know in a year when I've had time to process it. So the next thing I'm drawing is probably something everyone can relate to, and that is my phone. I have felt very stressed this year with notifications. I always feel like something's going to pop up on my phone, whether it's a news article, an email from my principal, a text message saying, oh, we need your seating chart because we're going to quarantine some of your students. I feel like I'm always checking my phone for some sort of scary update or notification. And so anytime my phone or Fitbit buzzes or beeps, I'm always like, oh no, what now? Are we shutting down? Are we going back? What happened? And so I think that's just been a huge part of this year, especially if we're tied to our phone so much for our jobs or our school. You're always kind of connected to it anyway. And then in 2020, it's become the source of all of our information and news, which has been a little stressful. So I'm going to finish this number with filling it in with my dark Sharpie. I think with the Doodle, playing around with areas of dark and areas of light are really important. Don't feel like you have to fill up every square inch with some new idea. And I'm going to move on to my second number, and this one's going to be extremely personal for me. So one of the major life events that happened to me in 2020 was the passing of my uncle. I remember I was cutting the grass in late July, and I had a missed phone call, and it was my uncle, and he, when I called him back, explained that he was having issues with losing weight and lower back pain, and when he finally got to the doctor, they first told him that it was diabetes or he was pre-diabetic, and then after some more time and some more scans, they realized it was stage 4 pancreatic cancer. So that was July. He passed on Labor Day 2020, and I remember his husband Bob called. We knew it was coming. And let us know that he had passed in the night, which was just a conversation that wrecked me. I've known Bob my whole life. They've been together almost 30 years. And he said, of course, we cried, we shed tears. We talked about, he had to call my grandparents and let them know that their son had passed. This is actually their second son. My mom's other brother died when I was little. So, heartache all around. But he said he was outside and he saw a hummingbird. And so Stephen, my uncle, used to love to watch the hummingbirds in their cabin in West Virginia. So the hummingbird was a symbol of hope for him. It was a symbol that although he had left this earthly world, that he was still making his presence known. So very emotional for my whole family. It being 2020, no funeral. I'm not able to see. In fact, right now I still have not hugged my mom, my grandparents, my uncle, his husband. And so that's, losing a family member is always just devastating. But I think it just opened my eyes to how important family is, and it's so easy to get caught up in the drama of the world and things that you see in the news, but there's just unexpected moments in life that can pass, and just made me very thankful for the time that I did have with him. So in the background, I'm drawing mountains to represent West Virginia. They lived in Washington, D.C., but they built their retirement home in West Virginia, even more tragically, to be together in their retirement. And I'm just so impressed with Bob and his strength and his love throughout this whole thing. And so this whole section is just a little bit of a reflection of the grief, because that is what it is. There's really no happy way to put it, but to honor the life of Stephen, my uncle, who has been an inspiration to me and someone I've looked up to my whole life. I knew that one was going to be hard to process because I'm the type of person who likes to just pretend bad things don't happen and just be in denial. So I knew that was going to be the hardest part of this doodle, but just because it's difficult doesn't mean it's not an important component to the year of 2020. Like I said, I'm reflecting on the good, the bad, and the ugly. Certainly you could avoid all of that by doing goal setting and goals that you want to achieve, but I do so much of that. I wanted to really focus on just what happened, how this year has played out. And so for my next section, I'm thinking of growth and my home and my garden and my time spent in quarantine with my husband. We say all the time how lucky we are. We're both art teachers. So our schedules shifted drastically in March. And we just went crazy making our home beautiful. He is quite the gardener. So not only is he wonderful at painting and he's a woodworker, he is just amazing at gardening. So I wanted to just do simple plants and leaves to kind of show that growth. We really, how many times in life do you just get told you have to stay at home? And I'm aware, I know that home is not a beautiful place for all people. And so I'm just so grateful to have, a home that we have space to grow plants, really time to build relationships, with my husband, with our pets. It really was just a beautiful, unexpected time to kind of focus inward. And I've been so busy my whole life, I just feel like it was a gift. Down at the bottom, I'm drawing tomatoes. That's one of my husband's best crops. We had so many tomatoes, hundreds and hundreds. We made salsa, hot sauce, we canned tomatoes, froze tomatoes, gave them away, sun-dried tomatoes. I'm telling you, it was the year of the tomato. And I'm drawing my paw prints here to represent my cat Puma and my dog Bird, our wonderful German Shepherd that we have spent so much time with all these unexpected quarantines and staying at home this year. Didn't think I could be closer to my pets, but here we are. I think I've added enough symbols to this number, so I'm just going to kind of play around with areas of light and dark, shading in some leaves a little bit darker. I do have a lot of empty blank space, so I'm going to play around with line quality, how thick and thin my lines are, and then I'll go back in and I like to add some lines that just fill up my space, which you saw me do that in the hummingbird and mountain section. And so I'm just going to kind of play around with knowing when to be finished. It's a little too chaotic. I need a little bit of something that ties things together. And in a doodle, why not use lines? Not everything has to be filled in. Certainly areas of light are important, but I like to kind of give each letter a cohesive feel to it. And I'm going to achieve that today by just adding some lines. And your whole, this is a reflective process if you're choosing to reflect on the year that you've gone through. So this could be all words. You could write how you feel. But for me, basic symbols just really help me process my emotions. And this is not like some masterpiece I'm going to frame and hang up. It's more of like an introspective sketchbook component. Just an exercise that ties together, I want to keep my hand, ready to go. I want to continue drawing in my life, even though I spend most of my time teaching. And so just to kind of connect my creativity to my hand to make something that maybe I just said not show anyone. This is a YouTube video, so you're watching it. But just to kind of talk about my process with a reflective doodle. And while I'm at it, I'm going to kind of play around with some lines around my numbers to make them stand out. Also, I'm procrastinating because I have my last number. And so for this one, I want to kind of work through the feelings of feeling like my world was split in half. I know I'm not the only person. We're in a global pandemic. That means worldwide. And we were all split from family, friends, people in our lives. Me personally, I live in a different state from my family. And when I moved, I thought, well, it's just a plane ride away. As long as I can afford a plane ticket, I can go home. And now I kind of feel like my world literally split in half. And the state of South Carolina, which is where my sisters, my brother, my grandparents' parents live, is like floating away from Oklahoma, where I live currently with my husband. And I have wonderful support here, but my friends and family, it's always hard to be distant, but when you just can't safely get in a car and drive there, or get on a plane, the distance just becomes insane. So the mask is representing that as well. I have high-risk family members. My dad is disabled. He's had an autoimmune disease since I was a little kid, and so his health has been the forefront of my life. And so to go through this pandemic now has just been very difficult. My sister also, she has lupus. My older sister has rheumatoid arthritis, just like my dad. So health has always been something that we have lived with, and it has only increased the stress level and the importance of keeping each other healthy, even if that means we're not sitting around a Thanksgiving table together. Being able to know that we're healthy, we're here, and we can be together safely in the future. And since I don't really know how to illustrate that without using words, I'm using words that are so common in 2020: canceled, delayed, postponed. I could have put quarantined in there. Just words that really carry weight in this year. And like I said in my other letter, or number 2, it's not always a bad thing to have a delay or a postponement. I think there's a lot of beauty in slowing down, and I'm grateful for that. But to deny it's been difficult would just not be truthful. And I'm letting the mask really just carry its own weight. I think that universally is the symbol of 2020 for all of us. I know my students, we did a really cool ceiling tile design where my advanced art students got to paint and design their own ceiling tile. And you wouldn't believe how many of them just address these same issues: images of masks, hand sanitizer. I mean, these are things that we're going to remember, and it's going to impact us for years and years to come. Not just me, an adult, but how this is affecting kids in school and relationship building and family relationships. It's just interesting. Not all bad, but definitely all impactful. And so maybe I'll do a 2025 reflection doodle and let you know how this all kind of comes together. I'm filling up my space with lines, with just little designs, just to kind of give weight. And I like the crack. It looks kind of like an egg, and maybe I'm losing my mind, but I also am looking at the words mom. Hi, mom. So it's funny how the brain works. That was just supposed to be a crack, and then I wrote out mom, analyze that, right? I could go crazy. I could fill my entire page by outlining my letters until all the white is gone. But I kind of like the graphic look. You could do different lettering. And I think this 2020 reflection is done. Thank you so much for sticking around with this really personal reflection drawing. I hope you find inspiration in your own work. And if you're looking for more drawing exercises or tutorials, check these out. And Happy New Year. I hope your 2021 is filled with love, light, and happiness.